Driscoll, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us. Let's start with your thoughts on the decision to expand Florida's migrant relocation program.
Well, thank you for having me, Alicia. And to be clear, this is nothing more than a political stunt, and it allows the governor to spend $10 million to move people from not Florida to not Florida. And this governor has a habit of getting ahead of his skis. So when they passed this bill last legislative session and he moved, or they passed it in the budget to allow him to have some money to move these migrants, nobody could have ever expected that he would have inserted himself in Texas and moved them to Martha's Vineyard. But he was not authorized to do that under Florida law. And so the bill that just passed on yesterday now authorizes him to use this political slush fund for more stunts.
So to be clear, migrants are one of the targets of the DeSantis administration. You also have the Florida High School Athletic Association. They were considering requiring female student athletes to disclose their menstruation history. Of course, there was a lot of pushback there. The association decided against it. Why wasn't it even being considered in the first place?
Well, I have to tell you, that was very disappointing to see such an invasion of privacy with our girls, but we certainly have seen invasion of privacy with our women with the 15-week abortion ban that passed last year, with no exception for rape, incest, or human trafficking. But I'm so honored to tell you that as the minority leader in the House, the Democratic leader in the House, I led my colleagues in our caucus to write a letter to the Florida High School Athletic Association demanding that they rescind even considering this policy. And then they called an emergency meeting. We sent that letter out on Tuesday of this week. They called an emergency meeting on Thursday and then reversed course. So I was glad that advocacy worked.
Well, even though the association nixed that question on menstruation, they're now requiring athletes to disclose their sex assigned at birth. As I understand, the form previously only required students to disclose their current sex. What's driving that move?
Yeah, it really concerns me, and I can understand that a medical doctor may want to ask that question and so that they can provide appropriate care to the student athlete. But I think that we live in the context, or the political context that we're living in, of course, makes us very nervous because we see that there's been such an attack from Florida on transgender youth. And so it makes you wonder whether or not this is just an attempt to get more information and to make this already vulnerable population even more susceptible to political attacks.
Here's the thing, Representative Driscoll, which is I care about the people of Florida. Our viewers care about the people of Florida. You care much about the people of Florida. This isn't just about what's happening in Florida, right? And I mean that in two ways. You have a new poll showing DeSantis tied with former President Trump as the preferred Republican nominee for the 2024 presidential election. So the conversations that we are having about Florida, about everything from student athletes to books that are being banned in Florida classrooms, to the brouhaha over AP AFAM studies in the state, to migrant busing and flights. All of that may soon not be contained to Florida as people are looking at Ron DeSantis as a potential national player. What do you want them to understand about the governor of your state?
I want people to understand that the best predictor of future behavior is past behavior. And the way that Ron DeSantis is running Florida is the way that he would try to run the country. He's very good at taking wedge issues and dividing us, at stoking tensions, at bringing the political temperature up, all to further his political gains. And if you bring the full resources of the federal government to bear under his leadership, I am afraid for what that will mean for our country and, in fact, what it would mean for the world. Remember that America has powerful allies all across the world. We need NATO, for example. We need to be in good relationship with our allies. I think we saw under President Trump, a lot of that started to crumble, and it makes me wonder what would happen under a Ron DeSantis administration as well. So if people do not want to see what is happening in Florida happen at large in our country, we need to be very mindful of that when we go to the ballot box in 2024. Should he make it onto that ticket, and make sure that Florida's current reality never becomes America's future reality.